We have a great setup here to round out our day. The top 2 seeds here in our NA side of the PML. We have Ferocity and Downfall, and Ferocity, sort of the first team to look at, have come in on sort of an up and down streak. Downfall, obviously undefeated up to this point, but Ferocity, certainly a team that could give them a run.
And that's actually the thing that interested me most coming into this split. Right. I originally was looking at these teams, and Ferocity seemed like the team to beat. They seemed like the ones that were going to be kind of skyrocketing to the top. And so it was a very pleasant surprise, I want to say, when Downfall was able to come in and kind of take that slot away. But that just goes to show how dangerous, I guess, Ferocity can be in these kind of setups. There's so much they've done right, and so much that I think they can continue to do that can cause them to be a threat to Downfall's so far winning streak. That's the one. I was going to say losing streak, but that's not the right word.
Well, they seem like they have a team where they can really mix it up. I mean, you have Poison, who is comfortable on many different champions. You see him here on the Drogos. You can see him on the Eevee. And then Stigma as well. He's a guy that you've seen play. I think he threw us Kinessa on Brightmarsh a couple weeks ago, which really threw us through kind of a little bit of confusion, but he showed us that it works just as well. And certainly a lineup on Ferocity that can surprise us, mix things up. But on the opposite side, you have Downfall, who have just as good a lineup, arguably, better chemistry-wise, and they're off to a hot start as well.
And again, it's a couple of players that, like a couple of names that you'll probably remember, and then a couple that, to me, were a little fresher. Tay being one of them, Jay being the other one. I think last week we saw them playing with William355 as their sub, but I believe Jay is going to be back for today. So being able to come through and have all of them together. Tay specifically has been someone that has impressed me just because the aggression out of that front line makes such a big difference, and the way that he is playing things like the Con specifically, but a bunch of other front lines as well, has opened the door for Downfall to be as successful as they are.
No, and that cannot be understated enough, I don't think. I think it's really good that you point that out. I mean, we saw Ancient do it in just our previous set. When you have a frontliner who is doing the amount of damage that they are and making use of the utility the way that they are, it's truly game-changing. Of course, Shadow, somebody else, he was in the PPL actually this past week, showing off for Team Downfall as well. But the rest of that Downfall lineup, the rest of that roster, certainly nothing to be trifled with, have shown how good they are up to this point. And I think this will be a great one.
I actually think it's really funny that we go back into the past. You know, you're looking at Bork having Turmoil in their roster, kind of weeks 1, 2, 3, and now we're hitting week 4, and every other team is starting to have that issue where it's either players that are getting brought up into the PPL or some players that are swapping teams, I believe, is like what the kind of the rumor mill is as of right now. So where they end up, no one truly knows.
No one knows. What we do know is we are going to end up on Jaguar Falls for map number 1. So this map potentially lends itself to some Drogos play. Could see, Poison on the Drogos. Eevee is, she's a pick on this map as well. But some interesting thing. Well, as I say that,
she is in fact a pick on this map.
She can be picked onto this map. Drogos is going to get banned out. So no, we are not going to see Poison on the Drogos, at least to start things off. And we're not going to see Stigma on the Kinessa. So some targeted bans coming out.
I had to rework my mind there for a second. I'm like, why would you ban Kinessa on Jack Falls? Like, of all the people who have played Kinessa on Jack Falls, I'm pretty sure none of them are in the minor league, except for Stigma, who likes to do exactly that kind of thing. Hey, it's Brightmarsh. Hey, it's Jack Falls. I'm going to play Kinessa, and it's going to work out for some reason. He can pull out the Strix. It can still look pretty good here, but
I will fight to protect the sanctity of the wild.
I don't personally endorse snipers on every map, unless you're a very few key players, and as of right now, Stigma's kind of proven to be one of them.
Well, Downfall deciding, I just don't want to deal with that at all. I don't even want to have to see whether or not Stigma can play Kinessa on Jagfall, so she's off the map. Khan Damba are going to start out the Downfall lineup. Inara Cassie on the other side, so the Inara and the Cassie still proving to be two of the higher tier picks, at least on that side. Bomb King, a great pick on Jagfalls. I know that's something we're all a fan of. So having that on the side of Downfall will certainly be good for them as well.
I'm always a fan of Bomb King. I think I'm even more of a fan of Bomb King when it's on maps like Jack Falls or Brightmarsh, where it's like, hey, not only is he great, but now you're pretty much locked in a room with his Grumpy Bomb if you're taking the fight wrong. Like, you're almost giving him the amount of damage he needs. But you have the right amount of pressure and the right champions so far on the side of Ferocity to deal with him. Ying's healing can provide a lot of support to the entire team, obviously in her ult being global and a ton of healing. I can't remember the exact number numbers on it. But think of it like a global Furia beam as it comes through. And it charges pretty fast. But Cassie, I think, is going to have a lot of pressure on her, as of right now, to deal with Bomb King, to deal with Leon as fast as possible.
They just
stay away from me. They get the Inara Ashe stack as well, which has been two of the higher priority frontliners, and that's pretty interesting to see. Khan, usually banned out, actually making his way through in this one. Fernando has been kind of that weird middle ground pick. We've seen some people as a fan of Fernando, some people not. I mean, his presence is sometimes felt, sometimes not. I mean, it's truly one of those like 50-50 coin flips whether or not he ends up working.
And admittedly, I don't like to call him just an ult machine. Fireball still does a lot. He has a presence and his shield do a lot. But everyone's looking at that Immortal. Everyone's looking at how the fact that they can stay alive for as long as they need to. So keep an eye on him to be successful.
Certainly a lot to keep an eye on here in game number 1. Ferocity Downfall certainly will be a good set. Lots of implications as far as the North Americans. Paladins minor league goes. Seed 1, Seed 2, Downfall. Looking to add another one to their column. Ferocity, though, looking to hand Downfall their first loss. Jag Falls is going to be map number 1 here, so let's send it off to your casters to get things started.
Jaguar Falls, beautiful place where a lot of action begins and unfortunately ends for those who love watching Paladins esports. It will be the beginning of the end. The first game of our last set of the day in North America, and against the top 2 teams as of now. Should be an interesting one.
For now. William also playing the Bomb King today, and also interesting to note, Torvald unpicked, unbanned for like the first, gotta be the first time this season.
Yeah.
Fernando better pop off, that's all I'm saying.
Absolutely. Could have definitely fit in there. But having that kind of point tank stabilization priority in this little meta has been interesting for Fernando. Such a switch of roles and switch of paces for him. Typically the extremely hot and in hot pursuit frontliner. 9% for Downfall here. Fighting taking place on the right side. Both teams now acknowledging the point. Kind of shifting over. Start getting some percentage.
That was great. Great character to do that with. If she can get a nicely timed wall up on main. Jay dives in. The wall could go up here and separating this Fernando from the rest of his squad. Collapse on Fernando now. Could be an easy kill. Wait for first blood to finally fall, but they let Jay just kind of float uncontested.
Poking battle. Maybe William 355 is making his rotation during that time. Jay Insanity has found a clever little angle on the left to be able to support the front line and also towards the back line. The range of Ashe giving him all that he needs here. 75% and counting. Catch him with a couple of shots on Leon, but he's going to slide away.
Ferocity's not a very mobile comp right now. I feel like with their very mobile frontline, Downfall could have afforded to get a little bit more aggressive there and get in the faces and just collapse on somebody with Bomb King. And that's what Bomb King kind of does best on this map. Instead of kind of poking around the corners, feeling each other out in the first game, though. These two teams are certainly here to give us a show, and this could be one of the longer sets, I think, of the day, because these guys have been historically pretty close.
And with 2 minutes left as well, that time is shrinking to where they're going to have to close that gap. So far, Ferocity have done a lot better here in this first point fight. Doesn't really feel like Downfall have gotten going yet. Fernando and Jay having a bit of an issue and deciding when to contest against Kerfluffle. Nice assert dominance there. It's not going to find the stun, but it at least will secure some of this zoning. And Dread Serpent there, maybe just to buy some time.
A lot of crowd control here on Ashe, making sure that she doesn't get too much, or feel like she got too much out of her ultimate. Almost every ultimate is popped in that fight for Ferocity, and they don't get squat for it. That's kind of scary.
And that's where you have to kind of question where you were going with that. Stigma, such a fan of snipers, finds himself on the Heartbreak Tyra. Going to break Downfall's heart here, handing them their first loss. And it is possible. Nice overpower there. Kerfluffle, see you later. So
maybe next time.
Starts it off with a strong defensive maneuver, and that should just hold for another, what, 10, 15 seconds?
A little bit more time burned off the clock here. Burning ultimates somewhat willy-nilly at around the minute 15-second mark. A lot of these people want to get those ultimates used at least once in the first round, and that mark of about a minute or so gives you enough time if playing well to charge that bad boy back up.
And again, 15 seconds off the clock for that. But now if they push it through, you do have a bit of an issue because you're now only 30% charged up. on the side of Khan. Enlightenment at the ready for Edgem. He's been a fantastic DPS player for these guys lately, and looking to continue. Getting a lot of shots there on the J, forcing him off the high ground. Nice presence will land. 3 seconds now on the reset. Of course, if you hit that, it's going to keep on being available to be hit. It will actually activate on things like ink clones as well. Looks for the Enlightenment. Maybe he counts his chickens before they hatch, though.
Sometimes you get too excited, right? There's too many things to shoot at, and you end up missing all of them. 5 seconds now. Full dive from Edgem into the back line. Nicely timed little dash there. It's going to grab him. Some more damage, and the boys come through from the backside and manage to clean that fight up.
Smartest use of ability. The benefit cost analysis on that slide was huge. The amount of time, I don't even think it was possible for Stigma to hit enough bullets onto him during the window of that slide to kill him. And it was a guaranteed bit of damage onto Stigma, which ended up getting the kill. Great decision making there. And 4-0. That kind of sells the story. It tells the story, so to speak.
Yeah, a lot of 1-0, 1-0, 1-1, 1-1 as well. Jay, I guess popping off, I guess you could say. He's second on the damage charts, only under Edgem, so maybe Torvald. Not his style. Wanted to pick up the Fernando. Get a little bit more involved in this. Gets the Cauterize 2 online after just 1 round. That's something to be said for the team that did not capture the payload.
I'd love to see I would love to know what Formidable is doing. I just love to see it and know this is the Formidable healing happening. And this is exactly why it's working here. And I know these players, they feel it, they know it.
There it is.
And there it is right there. And sometimes you don't necessarily see it that actively.
I would just love to see the cooldown of it.
Yeah.
I think it needs a UI element for sure.
And you know, very much like you see the shielding come through, and you know that's Torvald doing the dang thing. Fernando playing this Formidable style. It's been crucial to his success lately. And good Poppy Bomb as well to get away from the Seismic Crash and avoid the Assert Dominance. So again, a lot of whiffed ultimates there on the side of Ferocity.
Oh, nicely timed grenade launcher there from Stigma. As the backside is exposed, he spanks Fernando on the button, sends him back to spawn. Clean sweep there. Ferocity will grab this payload. Yet again, it cost them a lot of ultimates, but that time they actually got something done with them.
That's right. Very much what you'd like to do and what you're aiming for. Hitting a lot of shots, but again, they find themselves in a similar position down. Another overpower to try to stall things out. This time, he's going to grab the Inara. Actually, just like last time, trying to get over. And that's why it was so impressive when we saw that King Bomb go over the top, because a lot of players do exactly that. They can't quite get over that edge. You got to be perfect with the angle there.
158 on the clock now. No overpower this time for Ferocity. We'll be able to get this payload moving just a little bit quicker this time around. As Edgem looks for more poke damage here. He's got to be aware of the threat that is imposing Jalen Sanity over here. Marching his way back up to full charge on the ultimate. Could be looking to pop that off to get things started.
Ooh, gets done
right around the corner there. T-Mac very, very aware. And if nothing else, Edgem has been very preoccupied with this hash.
And a lot of just consistent damage pressure from Jay. Even though he's not running Scorch, he's getting himself up on those top charts, making it to the fireball. Still a low cooldown, still getting in the thick of things.
In there.
I'd love to see Scorch in this meta as well, because there's just so many situations people don't respect the stack anymore. It's not being punished. And that I mean, it does hit harder based on the farther ends of the fireball versus the consistent high DPS of the beginning one, but burst, so to speak. But it's not valuable now. William355 will take a tumble. Thanks to Poison, who gets a double kill.
Standing in the poison of that gourd, stunned in the poison of that gourd. Stigma almost getting soloed down by the young Mac on the other side. Fortunately, it's going to be the Ferocity rolling that one through kind of quietly. The team fight happens, and then the payload wasn't exactly the closest we've ever seen on a Jaguar Pulse. That fight starts a little bit earlier than the conversion point there. Stigma puts that nicely timed grenade launch from the backside of Fernando. Well done there. Ferocity clean it up. Figuring things out in the round. That's what happens though in these close sets. You gotta move. You gotta make sure you're agile. You're changing the way you approach each and every round.
And when you have that level of primal might, one of the reasons we saw Bitey with that grenade launcher build as well is when you get the kills off of it, you get just that cooldown applies to your grenade launcher. It applies to your firebomb. He's running a very low level of it in this build right here, which is geared towards that hunter's mark and that hunting party. But when you run at level 5, it really does help augment some of our high cooldowns that are very, very potent.
Things back up here. 3 ultimates for Downfall. Only one ultimate for excuse me, 2 at this point for Ferocity, but some big ones, some heavy hitters. There's one of them. Stun coming out there onto the backside here. Downfall just kind of backpedaling. They heard what sounded like an initiation there, but not a whole lot actually happened off the back of it. 63% here. Ferocity off to the races, and Downfall have got to find a way to respond.
And it is 3-1, so this could show the end of the game if Ferocity are able to kind of have the value. And look at that. Oh my goodness gracious. It looks like a few members are falling. Maybe falling faster than they'd like. The pause comes out, but
I don't know what you think you're going to save at this point.
I know. It's already done. You might want to pause before that.
It's tough.
I don't know.
I don't know what the pause rules are exactly, but at that point, it's a little far gone. I think 4-0 at this point for Ferocity. They're up 3-1, and it's looking like it's going to be in a good spot there. Kind of an awkward fight. I don't know what went wrong where, but the Assert Dominance comes out with nobody else really in sight of it. We had a seismic crash ready to go, but this one looks like, barring catastrophic failure, it's going to be wrapped up.
And it does seem that this game has kind of gotten out of the hands of Downfall very quickly without much resistance. It almost felt like that first defense, you know, it was there, but there wasn't really much of an aggression on either side. And now Ferocity, with so many streaks across the board, we saw 4 members die there. This is going to be the 5th. Luckily, Edgem takes one down, and that wall actually just secures that no one will be able to touch this. Victory will go to Ferocity, and they will be taking the 1-0 lead in this set. A little bit of an interesting pause there, but at the end of the day, the result stays the same.
Great to get back in that game and just get some closure.
Get some closure, you know? It's like a bad relationship. At least you know why you guys weren't meant for each other. Let's head back to the desk and break down what went wrong for Downfall, what went right for Ferocity.
Definitely a lot to break down there. Ferocity off to a very hot start, finding themselves a 4-1 win there on Jag Falls. And like I said, I mean, there's kind of a lot, but kind of not a lot to break down all at the same time. I mean, Ferocity just came out hot. The Cassie, the Tyro weren't missing a lot of shots, and it was just too much to deal with.
And it was kind of clean. And again, kind of to reiterate what Evan had said, like very early on, there's some resilience coming down from Downfall, but it kind of feels like, okay, cool, you got the defense, but were you putting your full heart into that defense? And then you see the next round and then that final fight, and you're just like, okay, the answer was no. There was a little bit of resilience, and then they completely broke down. And it comes down, I mean, Poison was doing really well, but I think the entire team, Stigma specifically, able to apply a ton of damage that just kind of stopped Downfall in their tracks.
And I think it was Jalen Sanity was 4-2-5 there on the Ashe. So like that's something we talked about before going into the set, was having that front line who's able to find that hybrid between making a difference and not just standing on the point and wrapping up the kills and finding that offensive pressure. And he did just that. And I think although the slash line wasn't necessarily huge and in his favor, he found enough of a presence to really shift that game.
And I think that's the push and pull of Ashe and Inara, right? Being able to have that, like, Ashe is going to get in your face and she's going to knock you back and push you back. Inara is going to be able to have that same effect, but she's going to do it from the point. She can still do a lot of damage, but she doesn't have to be in your face.
Well, let's take a peek at map number 2, see which direction we are going to be headed here. It's going to be Stone Keep. So, not too out of the ordinary. We've seen Stone Keep a good bit of times here in the Paladins minor league. Does this map tell you anything about pacing? Maybe a bit of a slower map, maybe a bit faster, team comp-wise, anything?
Out of the two of them, I'd actually say Stone Keep maybe has the potential to go a little slower just because it's easier to find a defense here. Although I would put it equivalent to, like, timing-wise, probably a Jag Falls. Like, I think it will fall around the same line. If Ferocity can, I mean, if they can win fights like they won that last one, then there's not going to be too much of a chance for Downfall to really put themselves in this fight. But that's the key, is you have to be that far ahead of them in order to make it work. The fact that Downfall are so scared of that Kinessa is such a treat for Ferocity, because that opens up so many doors.
And the Drogos as well. So a mirror ban from their first ban. They don't want Stigma on the Kinessa. They don't want Poison on the Drogos, and they're not going to let them have him, at least initially. Maybe have to change something up if Game 1 goes the same way, or Game 2, excuse me, goes the same way. Game 1 did. Grover's going to be the first one to get picked out here, so that's sort of the higher priority healer that we've seen coming out here. Really good as far as forming good, close-knit team fights. Ashe coming out for Downfall as well as the bomb.
After a few good lashes, you'll all see it my way.
I just have to let that line play through. Just because, like, if you think about that a little more carefully, about what Bomb King is implying, he beats people into submission.
Right.
Which,
sure,
admittedly, is kind of what his play style is like anyway.
King does it anyway, right?
It's like literally his gameplay style is, I'm just going to hit you with bombs until you do what I tell you to.
What did he say? 30 lashes and you'll see it my way.
You'll see it my way.
Unwanted stranger.
Well, hoping to make Ferocity see it
Don't
their way.
anger the king.
Don't anger the king. Looking to find their footing here. Khan, Inara. That's a high potency first 3 coming out there. Those are 3 sometimes first ban characters coming out now on the side of Ferocity. Ash kind of riding that line. Barrack as well as a high priority first pick. But Grover, Khan, Inara, that's a pretty solid first 3.
I don't know if you can actually add anything on the side of Ferocity to make that draft seem bad. Like, I genuinely think that you have such, again, you look at the core, your 2 front lines, the aggression you can have, someone to stand on the point, and then a Grover to keep you healed up. It all just falls into place. It's essentially just a puzzle piece clicking in at the very last. You see it all. You get Victor, you get Pip. Pip is an interesting one on this map. Victor, I think, is very strong on this map. But as a whole, I think Ferocity are riding that perfect line of we've got our safe picks, our staple picks, and we've got a stuff that's just slightly out of character or out of the ordinary, but still works really well, not only with this draft, but on this map.
Well, when 2 bans are being changed over to Drogos and Kness every time, it opens up some other picks.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that means you like Ferocity's lineup just a little bit better?
I like it. And honestly, I think it's the front lines that are pulling me over there.
Sure.
I think Ferocity just have a stronger front line draft.
Well, Ferocity draft themselves into a really good position and start themselves off in game 1 in a really good position, but Stonekeep is going to be game number 2 here. To tell us more, we're going to send it down to your casters, Evan and Nick.
Did you ever shoot that battle sounds thing?
Yeah.
You know, I'm thinking we should do one, but for the music of the maps.
That's kind of a cool idea.
Name that map music.
The problem is, I feel like it's like one track applies to 2 maps. Like Ice Mines and Frozen Guards both get that
they do.
Riff,
they do.
Think Ascension Peak, and then one other place gets like the sitar-y kind of like
thing.
Foreign feeling music.
But when you're not thinking about it, you know, if you just, because I was like, wait, what map? You know, it took me a second. Because, you know, even Bright Marsh and Stonekeep have a little bit of
Is that the same one as Bright Marsh?
No, but it's close enough to where I thought, wait, what map is this? I'm like, Stonekeep, right? And then I opened my eyes, and yeah, that's what it was. So
here we are.
It'd be a funny game. And
little Icky Vicky coming out here on Stonekeep. Good angle being played here at the moment, but quick response from the front lines. Keeping Stigma on his toes. More Drogos Knessa bans as well through the draft phase. Feels like Downfall just think they have a plug-and-play ban strategy figured out, but Stigma is not exactly one.
Yeah, I mean, and you know what I mean? I love the blandness of Victor because you get to see the player come through the character and not the character manifested to make a player look a certain way, and you could really see that, you know, his impact has already been felt. Finding decisive bullets, finding crucial kills already on the edge him early on in the Tyra, and just being very mobile. I just typically don't really love the Victor in general, but I think that, you know, there are some players who can make it work. Stigma seems to be doing that now, and Ferocity, 99% almost, are in a good spot.
Confirmed, Tyra is thicker than Maldamba. Maldamba squeezed through that crack, and Tyra got stuck.
What are you trying to say, man?
2 more picks, 2 for nothing.
We all about body positivity around here.
That's right. Confirmed thicker. That is positive for a lot of people, I think. Nobody be looking out for the Skeletor-ness of Maldamba. He's not exactly the curvy man he once was in his youth.
That's right. He's been on a long journey. He's not eating as many you know, carbs lately. A lot of
throw a lot of snakes, right? Reloading for him is such a process.
Such a process.
Throwing animals around the map.
Yeah.
It's tough, dude. Tough.
His active calories are nuts. Ferocity here, actively pursuing the push, and already halfway through. Very just simple game. I mean, it's so interesting. We haven't seen a lot of dynamics. It's almost as if these 2 teams have been, you know, back and forth, being very polite to one another. Not really butting heads. There hasn't been a strong performance here on the side of Downfall yet today. That's made me very positive about their outlook on this matchup. But Ferocity, on the other side of it, extremely patient and decisive on when they've wanted to maneuver, and it's worked out so far.
Here comes the barrage, and all 3 shells will find a home on Tay on the high ground, ending her life fairly very quickly. So now it opens the door for Ferocity. to just kind of waltz their way on through and see what they can get done here. Grover is playing the high ground as well, so a decent long-range threat. You know, he's going to chunk you for 500 to 700 from that distance.
Whoa. No, not a lot of resistance. Not a lot of resistance here. I mean, the ult abilities are flying, ults are flying, commanders grabs, and then the body blocks.
It's good.
That looks like cyberbullying to me.
Let them play.
That was really, really good.
A killless round from Downfall. Ferocity rolling and rocking here. 30,000 for the Vic, 25K for the Pip. And of course, Khan just winning the round there. Jalen with a nice little lockdown flip style there. Plenty of ultimates available as well because they kind of got it done the old-fashioned way. Just threw a nice little bicep curl from Jalen Sandy, and it goes through.
Yeah, pretty incredible. And yeah, again, kind of sticking with the theme here. Ferocity absolutely out to the races. Going to be very hard to catch at this point now with the credit advantage and only 4 minutes gone by, really.
Downfall spent their ultimates, too. They spent the Crossfire, the Dome Shield, the Assert
for
Dominance.
What?
For hot nothing. So Ferocity very much so in the driver's seat in terms of resources and positioning for this fight. It would take a big, big failure. And you may have not even needed that. Coming through now with the Dread Serpent, trying to just keep it together at the seams.
That was a bit of a meme, that entire just moment right there.
That was funny.
the stun, then the double chicken, then the double Dread Serpent into the kill anyway. I mean, that was just a showcase of how it doesn't really feel like there's much playing. This is not even as hard as a casual game at this point.
Welcome back, T-Man.
Yeah, seriously, you can't run away.
Oh man, and, yeah, as about as quick as that conversation took place, the point was captured. Ultimates were used and value was had. Ferocity 3-0 here. After a pretty clean Jaguar Falls, it's looking like a pretty clean Stone Keep as well. And if you can take the first 2 maps in these best of 5s, I would say more often than not, you end up winning. Even if you have to do it the Bork way, best of 5. 750 from downtown. Baller Steve is good from behind the arc.
Wow. I mean, Grover's been able to do that forever, so great reason to pick him up. The quick cancel, because the turret's about to 1v1 him. And he realizes that I cannot lose my clout that I've just gained right now.
I miss getting to talk about big Grover damage, like big 1200 axes.
Oh, that was a good time.
Those were the days.
When supports were bopping you for sniper damage. And had self-healing when you got onto him.
Oh, man. What a road it has been. What a long, strange road it has been. And it almost came to an end there. 4-0. Ferocity can move this payload about another micrometer.
You see what I'm saying? This ult coming out right now, like what's the timing of that? I mean, the crossfire just happens out of nowhere, and for really not to kill anyone and just does damage, no one really plays aggressive. It's like no one's diving, you know, and committing to try to get a kill, and they're all just kind of lacking resistance, letting everyone just kind of moving together like this on the payload. I'm having a hard time understanding what's happening. Is it tilting? Is it just, it doesn't, I don't know.
I got kind of caught off guard by how quickly that payload got to its destination, so maybe they did too.
I don't know. Maybe that's the case. There's just good players on both teams, so it's surprising to see this one going so swiftly the way of Ferocity. Let's break it down at the desk with Dave and Gore.
Well, Gore, did you blink just now? Because you might have missed the entire game.
I definitely did. Like, I looked down to write a note about the beginning of that point fight, and when I looked up, the push was halfway done.
Well, it was a 6.5 minute was the final time on the timer, but consider 45 seconds between rounds. I mean, that was really like a 4.5, 5 minute game. The stats, I think, are going to back that up. Ferocity certainly rolling very well right now. Stigma, the driving force with Poison just behind him, at least damage-wise. And the, wow.
Wowzers.
It's a killless game.
I was going to say, I wrote down killless round. I did not realize that translated to the entirety of the match.
There's something symmetrical about that. A bunch of numbers and zeros and numbers, and then zeros and numbers and zeros on the opposite side. Yeah, so the 0 kill 6-minute game there for Downfall. That's something to look at, and it's tough. I mean, we liked the Ferocity draft coming. I mean, you get the Khan, you get the Inara. I mean, you get so much frontline presence. But I mean, there's almost more. I mean, it's not like the Downfall lineup was bad. I mean,
it was actually a very solid draft. It was just the execution-wise, and like even when you look at the damage numbers coming down, Edgem kept up in terms of damage with the likes of Ferocity. It's just, was it resulting in kills? No. Was it really, like, were those ults coming in at weird times? Yes. Were they being effective? No. It's just like where you find that damage, where it gets placed made a big difference. And there was actually a point, you mentioned Khan, but Jalen Sanity, like, at the beginning of the first round is just like, I'm going to get in your face, I'm going to grab you, I'm going to toss you over there, and we're going to win the round because you're nowhere to be found.
Right. Well, looking to slow it down after a 6-minute game. Number 2 is Downfall, taking us to Splitstone Quarry. I mean, if there is a map that does slow it down a little bit, I guess it would be Splitstone Quarry. Although I guess you could have said the same for Stone Keep there, but that one was a quick one.
Well, I think my favorite professional note that I've ever written, at least for this set, is oof. Which was after seeing that was a completely killless map coming down from Downfall. And I'm gonna say it now. There's not many times I've seen a team have a killless map.
Yeah.
Let alone have a killless map and then go into the next map and win. So this is a very big thing for Downfall to have to make a big difference, but they're sticking with the same bans.
I mean, I wanna pick your brain on it. I mean, game 1 we saw it, and neither of us were surprised. I mean, Poison on the Drogos is huge. Stigma on the Kinessa is huge. So sure, you come out, you make them uncomfortable in game number 1 and see if it pays off. But game 1 doesn't go your way. Game 2, you stick with the same bans, and it doesn't go your way in a big way. Game 3, you stick with it again. They're showing they're not uncomfortable. I mean, at this point...
Once I get to game 3 and you say you pick them again, you've lost me, because it's just like, it's obvious you're not making them uncomfortable.
Right.
The idea, maybe the idea is, okay, this is the most irritating things to deal with on their team. Maybe we can handle them another way. That obviously isn't coming true because we've just seen a 4-1 and a 4-0. You are letting them get things that are incredibly potent. This time around, they actually don't have them as much. They get an Ashen Leon. Ashen Leon's really good. Is Ashen Leon going to make a huge difference? No, it's nowhere near as bad as giving up, what was it, Inara, Khan, Grover for the first 3. So you are at least stripping a little comfort, but most of that's Ferocity, not picking it up. I mean, Inara was available, Grover they banned out. So they're just happy. I mean, Ashen Leon's good on this map.
She's still available. She was still up at the end, and she gets picked up there. So they don't have the Khan, they don't have the Grover this time around. They get the Inara, though, a 6-pick Inara. It's a little interesting. Bomb King, though, coming out here. You imagine that'll go to Poison Stigma on the Leon here. But again, that's not necessarily uncomfortable for them. We've seen them on those champions. We've seen them do well on those champions. Downfall on the opposite side, take away the pip. And they have a good lineup going their way. And again, they did last round as well. Khan, Cassie, Damba, Pip, rounding things out with one more potential frontliner here. Fernando's going to be the pick that rounds out their 5. And they have a good lineup here.
I can get behind it. I feel like Fernando's probably the one that's the most far off, just because I think Alpha. No, because based on the team performance, I don't think he's going to do enough to save you. I think the Immortal though is going to come in handy to help deal with some of the high damage dealing and or CC ultimates that they have on the side of Ferocity, and at least keep you in the fight a little bit longer. Maybe buy you some time for that Pip to be effective. Maybe buy you some time for Cassie to find some shots. And that's kind of what I'm looking at. Can this Fernando make that effect? Or is he going to fall flat on his face?
Well, buying yourself some time is the name of the game here if you're Downfall. Down 2-0 in a big way going into Splitstone Quarry. You're looking to stop the bleeding, but Ferocity looking to put it away. Let's send it down to your casters to get it started.
Now, what theme is this?
You're looking like you're dancing to a country song right now. Square dance with me now, honey.
What meme? What theme is this? That little bass. Brass.
I'm seeing
we don't have a lot of those.
I'm looking at like a Tauren and like a Kodo, right?
Okay.
Just like pounding the drums of war.
We need to figure out what the Shattered Desert one is as well, because I don't remember even the music for that. So I got to figure that one out. This could be happening at some point. Oh my God! That almost worked. Edgem almost found the early kill into the fidget spinner there. Luckily, Kerfluffle stays alive. That would not have been the opening you want as a frontline.
Stigma, not the same can be said for him, though. Fireball is ripping to the back line. Kerfluffle, the front line is shook, so he kind of falls backwards now. Downfall, first time this set, are off to a substantial lead in the first round on the point.
And that'll do, that one play, that'll do it. I mean, it's going to reset your entire team because you can't really burst heal the Inara back up from that you know, without getting out of position and kind of rushing forward into danger. So Edgem, when he has control of his box, is going to have a hard time being displaced, but somehow they do it. Poke him out enough to where he's a little bit more hesitant to go back in. William 355 already has the Evil Mojo charged, so this could be make or break.
Green means go here as they waitlist to the back line. Find three, but which one do you want? They only end up getting one of them. Downfall captures the objective as well. This fight is over.
And it's hard to say that that would have worked had they had to not reset earlier on in the fight, because great positioning, albeit, but the execution of the kills was not as, I guess, as clinical as they may have wanted it to be. 2 minutes and 5 on the clock now as they continue to push. Stigma's found himself in the back line, and he's getting closer to his teammates so he can get healed up.
And that fight is also very weighted one side in terms of map control. We're seeing a lot of people fighting for that lava area that Edgem really just had complete control over. Nobody was contesting it.
Yeah.
There's no Ruckus in this game, but a lot of times in the Premier League last week, we saw Ruckus trying to control that high ground to control the enemy backline or whoever was up on the high ground. And there was more of a conversation about, like, rather than what's going on under the bleachers. That was where I believe like 9 out of 10 champions were taking that entire fight from the entire time. Edgem was the only one that was kind of on the other side of the map.
And Tay actually just now used the overpower, finds a kill onto Stigma to continue the pressure. And this is one of the things that we saw be utilized, and at least try to be utilized by the Pittsburgh Knights in that 1-2 fight. It's a very easy place for Khan to find these kills. A couple of bombs coming through. Jalen Sanity gets knocked out of the assert dominance, so fighting a little lower than he would have wanted. Good stun from Team Mac, another shoulder bash as well, and in comes Edgem. The tag team works in favor of Downfall.
Nice rotation there from Edgem. Great heal as well to keep him going, because that was actually looking like it was going to go Jalen Sanity's way. The wall goes up. He's going to contest as long as he can. And the Iron Maiden starts to collapse now. Kerfluffle will go down for the first time this set. Ferocity don't look like they know what they need to do.
Yeah, and this is you know, part of the process of going to Splitstone Quarry, and part of the process of maybe just never having momentum. And obviously, the second they started to stabilize, we saw Tay use the overpower, kill Stigma, and then continue this push. So it's been a really good aggressive push from Downfall. However, Ferocity maybe starting to stabilize here, starting to look a little bit more themselves. Grumpy Bomb zoning down Jay again. They gotta watch out for these ultimates.
A lot of shielding for the Downfall frontline. Curious to see how they evolve as a squad as Wrecker starts to come online for this Ferocity unit. Last 2 seconds available here. We will go into overtime. It's just a matter of who's coming out on top. Plenty of ultimates for either side as well if somebody wants to take control and set the pace of this fight.
And they do have the Commander's Grab ready to go, but I think he's just worried about what it would do to commit himself that heavily, and also Uzbek will follow up onto this. He doesn't even need that. He's going to be able to throw her down to the low ground, and that's an easy target. And no one's following up. No one's really finished off Jalen Sanity, so could this come back to haunt them as overtime starts to take away?
We have an angle here. He does. Edgem squeaks his way in there. There is still a front line left available here. Not really close enough on assert dominance either, so got to do this the old-fashioned way. Overtime is still going, but if anyone stops contesting, this is a long overtime. It is going to expire extremely quickly.
And that's what Jalen Sanity can bring. So look at the Poppy Bomb here. Poison has to stay alive, trying to just displace some of these members. He finds the kill, and that's enough. Boy, oh boy, Downfall were so close. But luckily, they did not sacrifice a lot of ultimates for it. And both teams will go back to this second point fight relatively even, minus 50% of a Yingle.
Yingle, there's one of those quick ones. 006, perfect support slash line through the first round for Baller. Steve William, despite being 0-3, definitely felt his impact. There's a ton of damage, nearly top damaging. Like that's 2 or 3 autos away from being top damage in this game. He gets the ultimate up first charge that wins the fight for Downfall, so definitely no flame for being 0-3 at this point. Decent healing through the first round as well. It's already transitioning into morale boost, which is something we saw Niju do early on. He just rushed down morale boost 3. And
Yep.
Is this King skin new? Did he just get his
He
gold
just
insight
got it.
rework? I
Yep,
was gonna
just
say.
got it. And he got a Battle Bite skin as well. There's a ton of really good skins from Bomb King. Now you can expect Tay looking to just get the overpower, which is why Poison seeding this angle for as long as possible to force Tay to run away and be as vulnerable as he can. But they just give it up. They know that he's coming after me. They find that kill, but still Kerfluffle is holding down the point, 15% counting. It's almost as if that actually worked for Ferocity.
Yeah, most people grab the Inara first and just throw her into the fidget spinner. And they elect to grab Bomb King instead, meaning Kerfuffle can just go ahead and continue to stand on the objective and continue the Iron March towards the full charge here. Evil Mojo still available. Dread Serpent Immortal all still available for Downfall, so they are far from out of this fight, but all 5 ultimates now ready for Ferocity.
Oh.
Somebody's got to pop something.
That was close. She almost got herself into the fidget spinner, and she almost got Commander's grabbed into there as well. This is some dangerous stuff.
Go back into your ult!
King Bomb is going to actually help you out, and the ult might have just gone away, Nick, so maybe just realizing the timing on that was rough. But Poison getting healed up just barely by the Ying. The Illusory Rift has been activated, and overtime ticking away in favor of Ferocity.
Now you got to start to question, was it worth grabbing Poison there? It would have been better to grab Kerfluffle. I mean, they didn't even kill Kerfluffle last round. They just forced him to reset and give up his positioning, and that already did so much for Downfall in the first point fight there. So that's a big thing to keep a note on and see if Khan changes it up. Does he overpower somebody different next time? Luckily, Downfall have managed to get their feet under them and will likely be able to put up a pretty good defense at this first corner, but people got to start kind of movement up. This payload is going to start rounding the corner before they know it.
And now, you know, you're getting to see more of the, at least, contest than I would have expected from a set with the caliber of players in it that we have here today. Winning that first point fight, getting very close to that push. Now Ferocity battling back. This is what was missing in the first 2 games. And nice to see it here on Splitstone, although it may be a little late for Downfall, especially now with Ferocity making some headway. And this payload slowly but surely inching forward here. Minute 30 left.
I mean, it makes you add an extra question mark onto the statement. What happened in the first 2 games? Where was this Downfall? And their drafts weren't necessarily bad or even out of the ordinary for them. They just kind of really fell apart. We're a little bit lackluster. Small little weirdities, oddities through these couple of games. Illusory Rift is popped. That's actually going to sustain Jalen's sanity through the Commander's grab flip.
Luckily, because that was, you know, obviously going to be very, very difficult at this point to manage if that was not ticking passively while he was stunned.
He's rolling.
Poison is just feeling himself, isn't he?
He is rolling through
That'll
this
be
fight.
3-1.
Completely gilded gold to the King before we knew it. We're right back to pretty much where we started. That was a very, very long first round. And now, after a very, very quick second round, we're all the way to a 3-1 scoreline. Ferocity goes from being on the back foot to poised and ready to strike to end this set in under 10 minutes.
Is this a Nara skin? Is she not actually a rock lady anymore? She's just a normal girl?
No, she's just a normal lady.
Wow.
Dancer's legs, flesh and blood.
Wow. Yeah, that's a crazy look right there.
I know. I didn't know what character it was when I saw it for the first time in game. I'm like, who the hell is that?
Whoa.
He's like, because she was standing next to an Eevee in spawn. Her legs are longer than Eevee. I'm just like, what the?
What is going on?
Who that is?
Who got glowed up today?
Who's the new girl? She doesn't even go here.
And now we're going to see a pretty similar dynamic, I would imagine. They've got the Mother's Grace CC immunity, which is maybe why he's deciding to wait on that. He doesn't want to go for the Ying, who could just dimensional link out of there. And now they've turned him into chicken, so they find the early kill. Still no overpower used, but they've got the advantage already.
Ooh, big heal from Pip as well to maybe sustain Jay through a little bit of trouble there, but he doesn't grab as many kills as I think he would have liked. And overpower is still ready to go, so that's a free frag onto whoever dares step foot first. Inara had to fight the Evil Mojo, and now is going to have to worry about the overpower as well. Downfall coming back into this. They still have Ferocity's Assert Dominance, Seismic Crash, and King Bomb to worry about.
And it's almost like they want to bait that out so that the Ashe doesn't assert dominance, right? But she's going to go here right now.
Oh,
my God, and already an early kill.
Holy.
Now I would imagine, since Tay is nowhere to be found, it's not an easy angle for him to overpower the Ashe. So that way you can... Oh, no.
He missed.
He missed. Well, that might do it right there.
30% there. That's the tell, right? You get a little bit of that ultimate charge back if you do miss. Seismic Crash on both frontliners. Stigma knows it's time to go. He's got his Enlightenment ready. Trying to time that one out, but Immortal throws him off, and he will fall for it.
And Jay looks like he's going to fall. Poison's been phenomenal. 9, and it's going to be, almost 10. Edgem takes the final kill. William 355 actually able to get credit for it, but at the end of the day, it's Ferocity. They will claim victory. 3-1. They'll close out our last set, and they will dominate today. What a great performance from them, and definitely looking the best team in North America as of now.
Like we kind of said, these are the last times you're going to see these rosters in these iterations.
As they are, yeah.
Maybe that set was somebody just gave up at that point. I don't know what that was, but it's certainly a type of result that would catalyze a change for Downfall.
All right, well, let's send it back to the desk to wrap up today's Paladins Minor League.
Thank you very much, gentlemen in the booth. Good job there wrapping up this set. And that set wraps up our day, and that was a fun one. Ferocity,
yeah,
I think probably surprising a lot of people in that set. You know, Downfall, not looking like Downfall of old, I guess you could say.
And admittedly, a lot of the notes that I have written down for that game honestly fall on Downfall like an ult, not quite getting the utility that they would have wanted. Like an Evil Mojo turns you into a chicken, they didn't get the kill. Or they do get the kill, but then there was no overpower, there was no follow-up, and it's that kind of thing. There was no huge amounts of follow-up coming from Downfall in almost every single team fight.
Well, they certainly looked a lot better in this one than they did game 2. I mean, finding a kill is better than game 2, and they looked a lot better. One of the guys on Ferocity, though, that was getting target banned out was Poison, and they were trying to find him uncomfortable, getting him off that Drogos, and time again, he mixed it up. Plays the Cassie in game 1, plays the Pip here in game number 2, and then game 3 mixing it up yet again on the Bomb King. And I think that goes even further to show that although his highlights potentially come on the Drogos, you can't really make him I mean, he showed 3 different champions at a very high level, at difference-making levels throughout this set, and I think that's a big takeaway here.
And I mean, being able to apply as much pressure as he did, and one of the things was actually him on Bomb King during that last map, kind of saving the rest of the team. There'd be a point where it's like, man, you're in a really bad scenario. Here comes Bomb King, literally wearing the cape, ready to save you. He's coming in as the superhero. So Poison making sure that he was making huge strides for his team during that entire set.
No, absolutely, and they have any given day, a team can do well, do bad. Downfall will certainly bounce back. Certainly not out of this one yet. Let's take a quick look at the new, updated, fresh off the press standings here for the Paladins Minor League. Ferocity with that big win over Downfall, taking the top spot here for North America. 3-1 game 7 plus or minus for them. Downfall, Zenith, Bork are your next 3. Bork finding their first win today, so congrats to them.
And catching up. I mean, if they had been able to take that a little faster, they would have been able to close it. If they closed it out in 3, they go up a little higher, maybe a little closer to... Actually, I think that would put them in 3rd place if they go through, because I think it was -6, -7, so that would have put them in -5. So it would have been very interesting. Not quite as close in Europe, though.
No, Clown Fiesta, Sour Team. That matchup we saw earlier today, Clown Fiesta coming out on top of that. Sour Team is team number 2 there. We have some great stuff to look forward to. We have Esports Weekly coming up on Thursday this week. We have a good schedule, though, for Paladins Minor League next week. That'll be next Tuesday. Some of these teams getting a chance to rejuvenate their spot. Some teams dropping down, some teams looking to bounce back up. Clown Fiesta, All Business, Sour Team, Hussars are going to be our European matchups for next week. And then Ferocity, Zenith, Downfall, Bork going to take things over for North America.
They're looking to rejuvenate their lines. I have a product for you. I know a guy who draws pluses on green tape and then tries to sell it to people using my voice as an infomercial, and also might be me in the infomercial.
Did you lose 3-0? Here's some Rejuve tape.
Here's some Rejuve tape. Look, we're already coming up. More Rejuve tape sales coming soon. Oh, already sold 10 million Rejuve tapes worldwide. Yep. Making those numbers up, but you don't know that. I slapped Rejuve tape on, and that healed my lies.
Oh no!
No.
Well, to slap some Rejuve tape on this close of day, we're going to talk about how tomorrow, instead of having Esports Weekly tomorrow, that is going to get moved to Thursday, just prior to PPL, and that is only going to be this week. It'll take over back its Wednesday time slot from here on out. Tomorrow we are going to have patch notes instead. At noon, I believe Gore is hosting that. Someone from our team is going to be there hosting that one, so that's a fun one to look out for. Again, Esports Weekly will be prior to the PPL this week instead of its normal time slot tomorrow.
And I believe PPL this week is also going to be starting at 1 p.m. on Thursday and Friday, so I think Knights actually have their double header this week, once against Na'Vi, once against Kanga. So I'm really excited to see what they can do, because they're one of the teams that has surprised me probably the most out of anybody.
No, and some good fun matchups to look forward to all across the board here for us today. And that is going to be it for us here today. First of all, I want to thank everyone around here, everyone around the office, everyone online for wishing me a happy birthday. It was certainly a great one. Gormizer sticking his thumb out there, making sure everyone knows. So I certainly appreciate that. Well, it was a fun day of the Paladins Minor League. Tomorrow we'll have patch notes for you with PPL and all that fun stuff coming up later this week. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.